pronouns are she, her, hers. And just a quick housekeeping note, you actually can add your pronouns to your name. Up in the right-hand corner, you can edit your profile. So please feel free to do that. So I want to say a huge thank you to everyone for joining us this afternoon. Look, we've got plenty of networking that's going to be coming up right after in the Chamber Networking Cafe, so stick around. You're going to be able to connect with business owners and professionals across the state of Texas. But before we do that, we have a really, really important topic today and a very, very special guest speaker with us, Kate Zaykowski from McGuireWoods Consulting. And the firm is working with the Texas LGBTQ chambers in this upcoming legislative session. And I think by any measure, the upcoming legislative session is going to be so critically important for our community. So I am really, really looking forward to hearing an update from Kate, and she's going to have great insight and a lot of good information to share with us, both as a community and then certainly, as business owners. So we're really looking forward to hearing that. And Kate, thank you again for joining us today. I want to say a huge thank you to our 2022 Pride Across Texas presenting sponsor, and they will be our 2023. I just let the cat out of the bag. 2023 Pride Across Texas presenting sponsor as well, Arca Continental Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages. And you're going to hear in just a moment from Ada Ortega. But let me tell you, Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages has gone above and beyond. They support all 4 chambers across the state of Texas. They are invested in our chambers, helping us on the ground, working with LGBTQ plus and allied businesses, and doing the work that we do for community. Let me underscore community. They are invested in supporting the LGBTQ plus community. So we could not be more grateful to Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages, and we're going, I think, into our 3rd year, Ada, and so we're really, really excited about continuing to grow this amazing partnership with the Texas LGBTQ Chambers of Commerce. And with that, it is truly my pleasure to introduce Ada Ortega. She is the Director of Public Affairs, Communications, and Sustainability for Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages. And I will say, Ada and I know each other. She previously worked in Mayor Sylvester Turner's office, most recently, and about a month in here at Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages. So, Ada, we are looking forward to working with you in your new role. Congratulations again. And with that, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. I'm a huge ally, and I think it's so important that we continue this partnership, right? Because there's still so much work to be done. And, as Tammy mentioned, I with Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages, and we are your local bottler for the state of Texas, as well as parts of Arkansas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. And, our products are as diverse as our organization, right? So we are firm believers in diversity and in investing in our communities. It's important for Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages to continue, to support the LGBT community, and we're doing so by supporting the 4 chambers, as Tammy mentioned. So we look forward to continuing the partnerships, doing great work, being part of your holiday food drives, as well as all your other initiatives that you have throughout the year. And we wish as well to have a great legislative session, and we will be behind you guys.
All right, Ada, thank you so much. And again, to the entire Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages team, we really appreciate the support you all are. I often use ARCA and say _partner. You really put the partner in partnership, and have just been stepped up in a big way for us. And so thank you. And we're here to support you in any way. And for all our businesses joining us, whether it's through live stream or they're listening to the recording, let me say thank you on behalf of them, because we know our corporate partners for all 4 chambers, your investment that you make really helps us do the work we do for our LGBTQ plus business community. So our gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, it is my pleasure to turn it over to the amazing Steve Markle. I love working with Steve. He is the general manager of the Austin LGBT Chamber of Commerce. And with that, Steve, I'll give it to you.
Hello, everybody. And yes, thanks for that warm introduction, Tammy. We love working with the entire coalition of the Texas LGBTQ chambers. The Austin LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce is here to help support and work with our fellow chambers across the state of Texas to promote economic vitality in our communities and strengthening the LGBTQ and allied businesses around our state. And we're happy to do that. You can learn more about the Texas LGBTQ Chambers of Commerce at the website. It's texaslgbtqchambers.com. That's with an S. And we're a coalition of chambers. We represent Austin, Houston, North Texas, and San Antonio. And, Texas is very lucky to have the leadership behind each one of those chambers. For Austin, it's led by our executive director, Tina Cannon. And she's a wonderful woman and knows a lot about the ins and outs of the political arena here inside our state, as well as in Austin politics. And then for Houston, we have Tammy Wallace. You've already met Tammy. We love working with Tammy as well. And for North Texas, we've got Tony Vetta, who has been in the Texas or the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce space for a long time and shares his wealth of knowledge freely, and we're very lucky to have him inside the state. And then for San Antonio, we have Jeff Ivey. And, with all four of that leadership, we're very lucky to be able to have a voice and be able to speak loudly when it comes to standing up for business at our capital here in Austin. So we're looking forward to next year and in February having an advocacy day where we can do that all together in one space. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa Howe from North Texas to talk more about Pride Across Texas today.
Thanks, Steve. Like Steve said, I'm Lisa Howe. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Vice President of Membership and Programs at the North Texas LGBT Chamber of Commerce, filling in for the incomparable Tony Vetta, who's our President and CEO, and I'll just do the best that I can. My first event with the Texas LGBTQ Chambers of Commerce was February 2019 when we met at the Capitol and met as a group, but also with our local and our state elected officials. So that was a great event, but we are getting bigger and stronger, and there are strength in numbers. And so I look forward to this February being able to be there again with even more people and having that kind of presence. So we're excited to be part of the coalition. Like I said, there's definitely strength in numbers. And when it comes to dealing with our state issues, I think that's very important. So one thing the Texas LGBTQ Chambers has done is we are working with McGuireWoods Group as our legislative advocate for this coming session. And I think it's going to allow us to be more proactive and more strategic in our communications and on our work, engaging with our elected officials as chambers and a coalition of chambers, but also you as individuals and all of us as individuals in the way that we can engage and reach out to our elected officials. So we're excited to have Kate with us today to talk more about the work that we're going to do together. So Kate Zaykowski is a Vice President of Strategic Communications in the McGuireWoods Group. She has over 12 years of experience in both corporate and political communications and public relations. Her expertise is in creating and executing multifaceted communications plans, thought leadership development, executive communication, audience analysis, and message development. Her experience includes digesting complicated policies, regulations, and/or strategies, and communicating those to the targeted audiences in a way that is authentic and persuasive. She has a depth of experience helping companies across industries maximize their environmental and social corporate governance efforts. Kate has worked as a consultant and an in-house for both state and federal elected officials and publicly traded corporations. Prior to joining McGuireWoods Consulting, she served as the Director of Public Affairs for Texas Railroad Commissioner Jim Wright and spent the last 5 years in the energy industry. Kate lives in Austin with her husband and 2 boys and is a graduate of Texas Tech University and Johns Hopkins University. We're excited to have you here today, Kate. Welcome, Kate Zaykowski.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Let me share my screen here. Make sure I do this correctly. There we go. Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, thanks again for having me here today and kind of being able to talk with all of you about McGuireWoods, who we are, introduce ourselves to this group, and as we get started and kind of get our feet under us to help you guys next session. So we're really excited to be able to partner with the Texas LBT Chambers, and we are kind of give you a little background about McGuireWoods. We are a 100-plus-year-old law firm headquartered and founded in Richmond, Virginia. And about 25 years ago, McGuireWoods decided to add a consulting arm. So McGuireWoods Consulting was born, and we're a kind of full service public affairs consulting group. So we have offices across the country that offer, kind of traditional public affairs services. We have direct lobbying, and then also issue advocacy, and then add in traditional public affairs and media relations. So, why I came to McGuireWoods to work here is because everything's kind of all under one roof. It's great to be able to work with our lobbyists and with our attorneys and be able to help our clients kind of all inclusive that way. So we're really excited about the opportunity to get to work with y'all. We have several people who will be on the team, names you might hear as you get to know us better. Kwame Walker and Josh Cantor and Bree Weber. If you guys, get reports and things like that from us, those are probably some of the names along with myself that you'll be hearing. We're just really excited about it. In Texas, we have a physical office in Austin, Houston, and Dallas. And we have on our team folks who've done communications, traditional lobbying, and digital communications. So we're going to try to help kind of cover all of those bases for you next session as you kind of try to advance your initiatives. I kind of wanted to start out before I start clicking through our strategy, just with a very high overview of session. It's hard to say. We're just a few days post-election, and bill filing is on December 14th. So there's not any actual legislation we can look at or see what's on the docket. But I think the biggest news about the session is the extra $27 billion in the state coffers. So there is a lot of money in the state, and there's going to be a lot of people requesting that money. Every year, budget is always a huge piece, but I think this year we'll probably see a lot of additional asks for a piece of that pie, knowing that there's more money than they expected originally. I think from the 76 bills that you all saw last year and tracked, the anti-LGBT bills, only one passed, which is great, but 0 would be better. And I think you'll likely see a lot of those filed again. That's typically the way things go from what else comes up or what's new. I think, like I said, with bill filing starting on the 14th, it's kind of yet to be seen, but we'll definitely be tracking that for y'all. And as I'm sure many of you will too. And, kind of provide updates as we get them. From the business community, I think, the Chapter 313 property tax exemption for businesses coming to Texas is from like heavy industry, big business, I think is going to be something that we spend a lot of time talking about. It expires in December, and they failed to renew it last session. And so they'll be trying again this session. It's anybody's guess on if it happens or not. We work with a lot of different associations too, and I think that's from a business perspective, that's the thing I'm hearing the most about. Sunset has PUC, which, as we all know from living through Winter Storm Uri and the market redesign, I think report dropped this morning. We'll be talking a lot about that again, utilities, PUC, transmission, where we get our energy, where we'll get it from in the future. I think that will be another thing that's really hit hard this session. And then, of course, the potential to have a bill filed and hopefully a hearing on the certification of an LGBT-owned business in the public sector. I think I was just recently told that Houston was the first city to do so in the state of Texas. So, I think we're thinking along with the chambers, why is this not statewide, and why shouldn't it be? And so a lot of times any bill, no matter what it is, takes several sessions to get passed, and it's kind of starting to get the word out. And that's what our goal is this session, is to get this legislation filed, have people really consider it, give them information to have thoughtful consideration about why this is important to the state of Texas and our future, and kind of get that rolling. So with kind of that overview of session, I'll go over to my PowerPoint here. And, what we try to do at McGuireWoods is to kind of cut through the noise. Like I said, there's so much extra money. There's going to be so many people at the Capitol asking for things, and a lot of it's going to have a dollar sign attached to it. So, lawmakers do want to hear from you, want to hear from their constituents, but the connection and the content have to be able to rise above the noise. Staff's hearing from a ton of people a day. They're reading white papers. They're looking at infographics. They're responding to constituent requests. So what we want to do is help you kind of rise above that and be somebody that's recognized and remembered. And that really is through the connection and content. And I have a couple ways on here of how to contact. It's a no-brainer for many of you, but Texas really is still using this text-led hashtag and Twitter. And I would say all, but I don't know this for a fact, but almost all of the members are still on Twitter and active on Twitter. And it's free and easy to use. And we have a stat here that by using the hashtag 3 or 4 times a day, it captures almost a quarter of the impressions. So without any advertising dollars, it's a way to really get in front of folks who are viewing that hashtag. And then, of course, emails, phone calls, and showing up. We heard a little bit about the day at the Capitol from the intros today, and there will be another one of those in February. And what that looks like, I don't think we've fully decided yet, but I anticipate there to be an in-person and a remote option. I think, we learned a lot from COVID and how impactful some digital communication tools really are. And so hopefully we'll be able to do a little bit of both to really have that day be as impactful as possible. So the kind of on the compelling narrative side, we were talking about how great the leadership was at the 4 chambers that make up the LGBT chambers of Texas. And there is great content. Everybody's website is great. They have fantastic stories from companies that they've helped, employee resource groups that are engaged, and being able to capitalize on some of those stories, whether it's in person or visually through a recorded video or some sort of testimony. I think, narrowing down to in or near members' districts, I think will be really important. And this is a great way for us to communicate and get those kind of emotional stories in front of people. Like I said, with all of the money talk that's going to be going on. And of course, their facts and figures and finance is going to be a big piece of how lawmakers make their decisions. And we stumbled across this stat here that's on your screen from Griner's IPO presentation. And, even this $14 trillion is just astounding. And I think putting that into context and showing the impact of the LGBTQ community and and what their financial impact on the state is as consumers and as business owners, will be really impactful. So, and I know because of the talent we have at the chambers, being able to kind of quantify and get this information isn't going to be difficult. It's packaging it in a way that's really digestible and kind of, jaw dropping, I think, for a lot of these members, just be able to continue to reiterate these different facts and figures like this. I wanted to go over a few McGuireWoods examples, kind of how we've helped some clients in the past. We have the first example I wanted to talk a little bit about is this kind of direct legislative advocacy. We worked with a Midwest-based healthcare association during their legislative session to try to pass a bill that would increase funding for their membership. And it was, they tried to get the bill passed one session, came back the next session, and just kind of were running into the same hurdles. And so about 2 weeks before session ended, they hired McGuireWoods Advocacy, and we had kind of feet on the ground, folks in the building, legislative push, but then we also had the advocacy side where we assisted with those traditional lobbying efforts from, really closely geo-targeting specific legislators' constituents with our message using social media advertising and asking them to contact their legislator. There's a million different ways to do that. Provide a phone number, provide an email address, or software online where people can just go in and send an email really quickly. And then asking the patients of the healthcare providers who are a member of these associations. So that's anything from content in their office, follow-up email. My doctors all text me all the time, reminders, things like that. So we were able to kind of utilize existing communication pathways from these organizations and reach out to them and say, this is important. We have 2 weeks left. It's time to take action. And they did, and the bill passed. So it was a state with a shorter session. It was only 3 months long. So 2 weeks, is a little bit more time than it sounds, federally or in Texas even. So, but we really were able to get a lot done in a pretty quick amount of time, kind of combining all of those things that I talked about at the beginning, the traditional advocacy or traditional lobbying and advocacy. Another one I wanted to talk about is a immigration client that we have. It's a national immigration client. I think several of our offices we work on in several states, but in Texas specifically, after the Fifth Court of Appeals ruled that DACA could be terminated, we had kind of a news hook. We had a reason to get a lot of community groups to talk about the importance of DACA and the importance that it played specifically in Texas. And we had a coalition, very quickly got off the ground, a coalition of 9 business groups, and put out a press release with statements from all of them. It was covered by 100 different outlets in the state and a few outside the state, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana, other states where this group was working into, and had a lot of one-on-ones with reporters, with actual DACA recipients, plus this organization's kind of research team to talk about what the impact could be. And, with other trade associations like the Texas Retailers and Association of Business, we got everybody together to kind of amplify this message. And we really found that after reaching back out to staff and lawmakers, it really elevated this issue to, outside of just regular, Supreme Court policy coming out, different rulings happening every day, but people really took notice of this. And the last kind of piece that we just pitched, I think it should be in the 4 business journals, Houston, North Texas, San Antonio, and Austin, is a joint op-ed from the chambers of those areas. So we do have kind of deep connections with the business community and able to rally them around things. And, the immigration issue was around a media hook. We had this announcement from the Fifth Circuit, but I think because of, what we may find as tough and negative things coming out of session, they will be newsworthy. And if we can take that and turn it into something positive for our group, and in a way to really rally our allies and supporters around something, we can amplify the positive side of the message, just similar to the negative ruling that came out of the Fifth Circuit. So those are kind of the top two examples that came to my mind of the way we wanted to support the chambers this next session. And with that, I am happy to take any questions or open it up to a discussion if we have one.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, people can put questions in chat or Q&A, and I'm looking to see if we have questions come up. But I loved that presentation because I totally see us having our members more engaged, us as the chambers having joint letters and op-eds. And I know that our leaders are looking forward to having that kind of influence. Any questions for Kate or comments about the upcoming session?
And if anybody, feel free to reach out afterwards or anytime if you have any questions. We're around and available and really excited to get started. So hopefully you'll be getting, more communication and specifics from us on specific ways to engage and how to.
So, Kate, we have a question that says, how do we get plugged in? And is it best to just stay in touch with our local chambers of commerce?
Yes, I think staying in touch with the local chambers is probably the best way, but we hope to have some, and I don't know, we haven't gone through this as individual chambers, but have some way for you to show that you're interested in this legislative effort and in this policy, and then you can get updates from us. So whether that comes from McGuireWoods to the chambers and the chambers to you, or however we can make it as easy as possible. But you're going to get great information from the local chambers, and we're all really tied in together. So I think as soon as we get bill filing, but then also once we have an exact strategy on how we want to do both in person and digital for the advocacy day, I think you'll be seeing a lot from all of us. Right.
So one positive thing that came out of Election Day was that we have 3 newly elected LGBTQ Black House members. So any ideas of how that could change Austin or the way some things are talked about there?
I mean, I think growing the coalition is great. The coalition at the Capitol, the LGBT caucus is going to be hugely helpful to us. And, I think having more people in that caucus, of course, is helpful. But then also, people are going to make relationships up there. If they spend 6 months up there, half of them end up sleeping in their office. And just getting to know each other, I think is, not something so much that we get to, well, we can do a little bit. We can host some happy hours and some networking for members to get to know each other better. But, that's going to be on them. But I think being able to support them and giving them ample message and like I talked about, some of the facts and the figures that we know their colleagues are interested in, like the financial numbers and things like that, will help tell their story in addition to their personal story, in addition to that emotional side.
Right. And, I know that sometimes our leaders are behind closed doors and talking to corporate executives. And, we talk about data and economics and numbers, and it's not pretty. It's just all about the numbers and all about the money. But it feels so much better when you're opening hearts and minds and you're sharing those personal stories. And, I think we need both working together.
Absolutely. And I think that's that's kind of the beauty of this group. By being a chamber, you have access to so many great stories, so many individual stories. And and everybody wants to see a face with the story. It's hard to really get emotionally involved if you're just saying my friend's brother's sister's cousin did this one thing this one time. That's hard. But when you've got somebody face to face, or even just a picture or a video of somebody who's really kind of lived this experience, I think that's more impactful. And our team that we have is so great, and we have really good experience of merging those two things together to kind of help tell that story, the facts and the figures and the emotional side.
I love that. And I think our small business owners will have stories, but I also think our employee resource groups, they do such a good job of ally training and anti-bullying presentations at their places of work. And I think they're really good about also kind of putting faces to stories.
Definitely.
Great question from Tammy. So why is it important for business owners to be involved during the legislative session?
If Texas had a tagline, it's a business-friendly state. That is what Texas has been and strives to be, kind of underlying everything else, and especially this leadership that we currently have, statewide leadership. And a lot of times they think that they are doing things that are business-friendly, but how can you counteract a business owner if they tell you something is not friendly to business? That's the most powerful, response, whether it's pro or against any policy measure. And it's great to hear from trade associations, and it's great to hear from contract lobbyists, and it's, outside groups, but hearing from the actual business owner, the practitioner, the person who's making these hard decisions about what to do in these financial times, hiring, firing, adding, additional space, things like that. That's the most impactful story we can tell. And while chambers and trade associations are great at coalescing that information, if those business owners aren't a part of it, then that information just, doesn't exist. You can't get it. So they really are the heart of the story to tell.
Right. And I don't know if this is a question so much for Kate as maybe for some of the chamber people, but how does it help when we get our national LGBT business enterprise certification?
That's probably a better question, like you said, for the chamber leaders, but
yeah. And I'll just chime in, Rick. I mean, it is strength in numbers. And, when WeBank talks to elected officials, and they can say there's 400,000 certified women businesses. And so for the NGLCC, they want to be able to have those kinds of numbers too, for them to say there's 1,000 certified or 2,000 certified. Maybe those numbers don't, really open the ears of the people that you're talking to. So I know part of that is having strength in numbers, and to be able to say, hey, there's 5,000 and 2,500 of them are in Texas. So how exciting would that be? And I feel like we're getting there. I feel like I just did 4 certifications in the last week or 2.
That's great.
Other questions? And Tammy and any of our chamber leaders, do y'all know if we will have subscribing to an email that goes out? Oh, Tammy's going to talk about. Oh, yeah. Tammy talks about, it's in the chat. You guys can read it. LGBT businesses to be represented through the HUB program. But there's just a question about maybe getting signed up and having regular communications go out. And I'm sure during the session, there's going to be, stay tuned for updates. Yes. Thank you, Tammy. Kate, excellent job. I look forward to working with y'all more and closer and really having a relationship during this session. So thank you so much.
Thanks. We're excited.
I'm going to turn this over to San Antonio. Jeff Ivey is joining us. He is the board chair at the San Antonio LGBT Chamber of Commerce, and his day job is president of the River City Credit Union. So Jeff, welcome.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you very much, and thank you, Kate. That was a great presentation, and we really appreciate you joining us and sharing that information. There's obviously a lot going on in the state legislative sessions that are coming up. I apologize for being tongue-tied, keeping us aware and keeping our members aware of what's going on is really important, because we need all the advocacy work that we can muster. So Kate, great job, and she's going to be in the networking cafe. If you want to connect with her, that will be open. The cafe will be open until 4:30. It's a great opportunity to connect. We encourage you to move from table to table and just introduce yourself, provide your pronouns, and give your quick elevator speech about who you are and your company and the needs of your company. This is a great time to join your local chamber. If you're not already a member, we encourage that. All the websites for the 4 chambers represented here today are on the screen. And you can click on any of those and get membership information, as well as other information about not just the chamber, but the city that the chambers are representing. So great time to do that. Again, I want to thank our presenting sponsor for Pride Across Texas today, Arca Continental, Coca-Cola, Southwest Beverages. They have been great supporters of the chambers, and we're so pleased that they agreed to sponsor this year. And as Tammy said, she gave it away that they're going to be joining us next year too. So we really appreciate that. And just thanks to you for attending. Thanks for spending the time with us today. And again, the networking cafes will be open till 4:30, and we'll see you there. So thanks for joining. And for those of you that have a Veterans Day off tomorrow, have a great weekend. Remember our veterans, and we'll see you in